think Sony will try to find a way to keep the IP alive post-Norse Saga one way or another. Besides, there's that new Amazon show coming soon, so my work will never end. I forgot about the DLC, didn't I? Hey guys, it's your girl, Miss I Saw How You Drew Me on 4chan, back at it again with the last God of War video. Wahoo. If you haven't seen the base game review, you might want to go watch it first. Also, if you haven't noticed already, I'm just making this a normal review since I'm too lazy to make Kratos edits of this new batch of Lily Sona sprites. But I'm still gonna use the same intro. God of War Ragnarok was a great game. Story-wise, it had a little hiccups here and there, but it's still really solid, full of amazing moments. However, the story lacked something to make it all more conclusive. Kratos may have become a hero and saved the world, but all that doesn't change the fact that he ran away from his past. And we can't have that. We gotta have him conquer his inner demons to make his story And we can't have that. We gotta have him conquer his inner demons to make his story come full circle. That's where the Valhalla DLC comes in, and it features elements from Greece. Man, it feels so long ago. I was just talking about God of War 3. But also, right off the bat, I had a couple of my friends as well as my audience on here tell me I'd enjoy all the returning Greek stuff, and sorry to say it, but I've been spoiled to hell and back. I've seen hundreds of YouTube thumbnails spoiling the ending, and I know the Blade of Olympus comes back, but beyond that, I'm gonna try to go in mostly blind. I guess there's nothing else left to say, so here's the God of War Ragnarok free DLC, Valhalla. As we start, Kratos and Mimir receive an invitation to this strange area shrouded in fog, which we later find out is Valhalla. Right off the bat, we also hear Kratos and Mimir have some of their own personal issues. Mimir's relationship with his hot Valkyrie girlfriend is stuck in a rut. Wait, did I mention Sigrun last time? I don't think I did. Oops. But while that's happening, Kratos is having issues of his own. The main game ended with Kratos and friends on their way to make the world a better place, and we hear Freya started a new council to replace the Aesir and invited Kratos to be a part of it, but he doesn't want to be put in a position of authority ever again, even if it's as a peacekeeper this time. When we make it to the shores, we're Metroidvania'd once again, reverting back to our basic loadout. Kratos, being the champion of strength he is, forces the door open, so now we're ready to master ourselves. The gameplay is essentially 90% combat, but with a little twist. This campaign is structured like a roguelike, where you have to face the same trial over and over, but it's different after each bit. This campaign is structured like a roguelike, where you have to face the same trial over and over, but it's built a little different after each death. After completing each wave of enemies, you can open chests to give you a random perk, runic attack, and other things like fleeting echoes, which are essentially hack silver used to upgrade your stats when reaching the appropriate marker. You can also do self-inflicted challenges like nerfing health items or making Kratos freeze up when you roll dodge, and after a few enemy waves, the curse is then removed so you can boost your stats. Once you make it to the end of an attempt, a boss is thrown your way, and beating it unlocks more pathways in the main Asgard area of Valhalla. Some bosses are just harder enemies, but they do pull some familiar faces like Magni and Modi later on. And in between attempts, you're sent back to the shore to change your armor and weapon pommels, accept favors, and improve your stats for the next run. This helps make the whole experience fresh since it's fun deciding what you'll change and how it'll affect your next run. Getting back into the combat was easy, and I like the roguelike twist they pull on it. Not only does it incentivize the player to keep trying the same challenge repeatedly, but narratively, Kratos is also determined to make it to the end and uncover the meaning of this whole thing, which is really cool. I haven't really played any roguelikes before. I thought Spelunky 2 was pretty neat, but that's about it. And since we're on the subject of mythology, Hades is also on my wish list on Steam. Well, not wish list, but like, I don't know, I'm family sharing with my boyfriend. So I have it, but I just haven't gotten around to playing it yet. Why am I going off script so much? And I guess 2018's Fog Realm also kind of had roguelike bits, but other than that, nope. Oh, and speaking of changing your armor, you'll notice I'm a basic bitch and I just stuck with the default for a good while, but I did eventually switch to the Spartan set, which makes Kratos look a little naked. After Freya and the Valkyries fill us in back at the shore, we learn Valhalla drops from the visitor's memories, which is why some bits look like realms realms Kratos visited in the past, as well as things dating back further than anything in this saga. I wasn't expecting them to bring back the guards of the underworld from God of War 3, but I thought that was really cool. Not only that, but Kratos' old throne can be found at the end of our first batch of challenges, along with a familiar voice.
Congratulations, old friend. You really are going places in Valhalla.
Mimir is swapped out with Helios, or at least a snarky hallucination of Helios drawn from Kratos' memories. This happens each time you move from the Norse areas to the Greek areas, and I love the stark contrast between the two heads. Mimir only has Kratos' best interests in mind, and Helios is an asshole.
You've told me of your past, and yes, much of it was horrible. But you've proven over and over again that you're not that man anymore.
So, what's new with you? Murdered any good pantheons lately?
What better god of war could the realms ask for than the general who won Ragnarok? And won it trying to save lives.
Oh, I meant to ask. How did you like setting yourself on fire? Truly entertaining stuff. Sorry to miss how it ended up. I think maybe you still have some ash on your skin.
Oh my god! Also, this is a minor thing I thought was cool, but the relic Huldra Project number 9 weaponizes Mimir, blasting a lethal Bifrost beam at enemies. But when you have Helios instead, it's just like God of War 3 all over again. Determined to find Mimir, we make our way to the guards of the underworld, and the vibe here shifts to something I haven't felt in a long time. Later on, they explain the higher up in Valhalla, the deeper it draws from your memories, so we're back in Greece, baby! Man, I am loving this view. There's lots of golden architecture, foggy hallways, and they pretty much nailed the barbaric feel that was the original game's identity. The music here really helps with that. While you're trekking through the halls, the track Face the Past, Face the Future plays, and it's got this underlying feeling of danger. I love it. It sounds like it belongs in God of War 1. And the combat music, Master Thyself, is basically just a greatest hits melody from the Greek saga. Bear McCreary understood the assignment, and he passed with flying colors. The one thing I don't like about the Greek area is that there's no map. Every level preceding it was just simple combat arenas, but this is an elaborate temple with 2 floors and it's a little easy to get lost. And this area introduces the mechanic where a little timer above you counts down until the enemies get stronger after each passing moment, so you're not exactly rewarded for dilly-dallying. I ended up resorting to the fan-made map in the God of War subreddit, but still, they really should have implemented it in the game itself. I just thought that was a little annoying. Now we're back in the Chamber of Sacrifice from God of War 1, where Kratos burnt a man alive so he could advance on his quest for Pandora's box. Kratos figures he can get rid of Helios by putting him in the cage and sacrificing him. As we push him towards the end of the hallway, we're greeted with familiar enemies, undead legionnaires found in all the Greek games. And they're not the only Greek enemies here. There's Cyclopes, Sirens, Minotaurs, Centaurs, Harpies, who apparently got top surgery. Some Greek enemies can siphon your rage meter unless you take them down with the corresponding weapon, which is a pretty cool mechanic. It sets them apart from the Norse enemies a little more, since the Greek enemies, well, some of them at least, are just reskins of the Norse ones. It's the most obvious with the Cyclops, which is just a troll with a fresh coat of paint. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm just saying it's an interesting tidbit. Anyway, the final enemy cluster requires us to activate Spartan Rage, but we unlock a new path, Legacy, where Kratos pulls out the Blade of Olympus. Even if I knew about the Blade of Olympus returning beforehand, I still think this was really cool. If I didn't know about it beforehand, I probably would have shat my pants or something. Once we're at the end of the hallway, Kratos activates the flames, but at the last minute, Helios switches out with Mimir. After desperately trying to break the cage and save Mimir, Valhalla seems to break apart around them, but Sigrun risks her life to save the 2 of them, bringing us back to the shore. We might have failed the challenge, but Kratos is determined to find out who invited him here, so we go back for another go.
Mimir! Oh no! You poor thing, look at you. You shouldn't have done that.
Oh, heal, dummy. You and Kratos would not. But you're safe now.
Sigrun, I'm sorry. I been so foolish.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. At some point, Kratos starts asking Mimir what's up between him and Sigrun, and things were actually going pretty smoothly between them until Mimir started to get worried that he wouldn't be enough for her. The more we go through the Norse levels, the more Kratos will try to diminish Mimir's insecurities, and I really enjoy the dialogue here. Kratos used to not give two shits about Mimir, and now they're basically best pals.
I don't apologize for wanting her to have someone who can be everything to her. She deserves the best.
Then why should she not deserve the smartest man alive?
Sometimes I think you've come too far, brother.
Did I overstep?
No, Kratos. I appreciate your point.
I really love how Mimir's dilemma mirrors Kratos's, since both of them are insecure about feeling unfit for the roles they're presented, whether it be as the new god of war or as Sigrun's lover. The journey through Valhalla helps Kratos realize he can be a better god of war, and Mimir being there to rid Kratos of his insecurities helps him understand that putting himself down isn't doing any good. After all, if Sigrun truly deserves the best, why doesn't she deserve the smartest man alive? This time Kratos burns himself alive, transporting him to the next area, reuniting with Mimir. Now we get to see who invited us, and it's— oh no, Kratos, watch out, it's Odin! But I thought he died! Okay, I'm trolling, this is Tyr. Yeah, here's where Kratos meets the real Tyr. Like I said in the last video, Tyr really is a competent leader who's mastered the art of war in order to prevent it, and Odin's disguise as Tyr was a sad, exaggerated caricature of a humble, broken man. Tyr is basically Kratos' therapist here. He's fully on board with Kratos joining Freya's council in order to bring balance to the realms, but in order to do that, Kratos needs to finally, after all this time, confront his past head-on and make peace with himself. Tyr guides Kratos through Valhalla, showing him his past mistakes while also putting them under a new perspective, like Kratos pledging servitude to Ares. Yes, Kratos was a very different man back then, angry, power-hungry, kind of a dumbass, but he had people he cared for, not just his family, but all his fellow Spartans, and he pledged himself to the god of war in order to save them from the invading barbarians. They also talk about Kratos willingly killing Helios, knowing full well what the ramifications would be, and his unnecessary murder of the boat captain, among other things. Tyr also tests Kratos with trial by combat, or in other words, incredibly challenging boss fights. And you can tell Tyr lives up to his title. He's like a man in arms, using a wide variety of foreign weapons throughout each encounter. He also sometimes summons clusters of enemies, and he makes sure we don't forget how to dodge, shield strike, or parry. Oh, and I meant it when I said incredibly challenging. I've died to Tyr more times than I'd like to admit. On one attempt, I'll be all like, alright, time to fight Tyr. Damn, Tyr's got hands. But don't worry, you get a massive feeling of accomplishment once you beat him, and the way he stops Kratos' punch at the end is really cool. After the final Tyr boss, the last thing they discussed from Kratos' past was him opening Pandora's box. After he did so, he unleashed a sickness onto the gods of Olympus, amplifying every feeling of paranoia and hatred they had. But one thing the box did have was the power of hope. In this final scene, Kratos is ready to walk through the door that was behind Tyr at every encounter. Inside, he sees a reflection of what he once was. And man, he looks great here. He looks super imposing and badass. But that's besides the point. Kratos finally comes to terms with everything. He calls himself out on his reckless behavior, but he also knows he always had a choice. Despite all the pain he endured, all the vengeance, rage, redemption, he still had hope. And he finally decides he's ready to join Freya to bring balance to the realms. I really love that the first chapter of Kratos' story ended with him sitting on the throne becoming the new god of war, and the last chapter, well, for now at least, ends the exact same way, but now he's finally come to terms with himself, and he finally has clarity. This is something that was missing in the base game story, even if they did touch on that a little bit at the end. But now I'm glad Kratos learned to forgive himself as he once again becomes the new god of war.
Well, looks like I missed everything. Did you find what you needed? Glad to hear it, brother. We're done here then, so, what now?
No. believe. I would like to sit here for a while.
So yeah, all things considered, this DLC was pretty short, but I thought it was really neat. I really love the gameplay. It gives more spotlight to the combat, and the different ways you go about upgrading Kratos with each run makes it such a unique experience. I played on the default difficulty, but I might revisit it in the harder ones just to see how it is. And as a massive fan of the Greek games, I enjoyed seeing familiar areas and enemies again, and I enjoy Helios's constant bickering. And the story was simple but effective, finally allowing Kratos to have some inner peace after all this time. If I had to force myself to come up with criticisms, I'd say I wish it was a little longer. I think it's good length, but I wish we could have seen more from Kratos' past. Valhalla draws from his memories, but it feels like we only got to see a tiny glimpse of his time in Greece. Imagine if we got to rematch against a colossal enemy like Kronos or something, that'd be awesome. But I know it's not really needed. The DLC was made in like a year after all. It's great, it's serviceable, I'm just being stupid. Oh, and hey, I unlocked a new appearance for Kratos. Let's head on over to the appearance thingamabob to see what it is. Oh my god, he's back. Well, we finally did it. We made it at the end of Road to Ragnarok. After all this time, I'm done making God of War videos, at least until something new from this series comes out. So now, I'm left wondering, what now? Well, I'll tell you! I'm gonna let you guys decide for me! That's right, bitches! I want to do another one of these dumbass retrospective series. Now that I'm a lot better at YouTubing, the quality should be a lot more consistent, unlike this one where you can see the evolution of my skill with each passing episode. As you can see, I have a Google form in my sex dungeon filled with a list of choices for you to pick! I'll ask you guys right now for some feedback. Maybe you guys can recommend something not too long for me to talk about. Should I even do another one of these? Whatever, that's for you to decide! Simply go down in the comments below and tell me what series you'd like to see added, and after, I don't know, a week or something, I'll release the form for voting. Anyway, I really have nothing else to say now, so I guess that means I should end the video now.